How you doing? Oh, that's what I did. Is not. The link to the
Stand as we welcome the Premier. Okay. Kindly be seated. A pleasant morning to all. Welcome to April's edition of the Premier's monthly press conference. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, the format for this morning's press conference is as follows. The Premier will make his usual statement, and members of the press corps will be given the opportunity to ask their questions. In so doing, you're kindly asked to give your name and the organization that you represent, just in case we have to give follow-up information. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to the podium the Honorable Premier of Nevis, Mark A.G. Brantley.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of our monthly press conference. I'm delighted that you have been able to make it, and I know there's a lot going on in the Federation today, so I'm happy for those who tuned in. Let me start this month's press conference by extending sincere congratulations to my dear friend, Miss Esperina Griffin Archibald, Nurse Archibald as we know her. She has won the coveted and prestigious title of Manager of the Year for 2022 at our Four Seasons Resort Nevis, and I want to say to Nurse Archibald, congratulations. She's a woman of many talents. She spent many years in healthcare, and she's now at the Four Seasons and is our Manager of the Year for 2022. At the last press conference, I congratulated 5 young Nevisian cricketers for making the Leeward Islands under-15 training squad. Today, I would like to congratulate all 5, Amory Jones, Krishna Gurdani, Rondre Daniel, Light Brown, and Jadon Herbert. They all, in fact, made the team. So the last time I congratulated them on making the trials, this time they all made the team. So yes, indeed, that's a matter for some applause. The tournament ended on April 12th. Our 5 young cricketers would have performed well. Congratulations to them, their coaches, their family, their schools. Let me switch to extend my deepest condolences to the family of a friend of mine. I extend condolences to his family and friends, Edison Paris. Edison Paris, who is known in the Calypso world as the Enforcer, would have passed away after a short illness. He had worked at NTV for some 23 years. And so I would want to join the staff at NTV in extending condolences to the family, and indeed to extend condolences as well to all of his co-workers who, as we know, are here on a monthly basis for this press conference. Eddie had, as I said, a short illness, and he passed away in St. Kitts, where he was hospitalized. And certainly I know his entire family, his wife, his Aunt Mildred, and the entire group there in Brownhill. I know they all mourn his passing, so I would want to join with the family in extending my deepest condolences to them all. I also would want to extend deep condolences to the family of Reverend Eunice Griffin. Those who knew Reverend Griffin would have known that she was a stalwart in the Christian community here on the island of Nevis. She would have served and served faithfully for many, many years. And she too became ill and was hospitalized and has sadly passed on. And I extend my deep condolences to her children who survive her, and the entire church family, but also the entire Nivision family. She was somebody who was well loved and who has contributed tremendously. While I am in the process of extending condolences, let me also extend condolences to the family of Mr. Ishmael Hanley. While I was abroad, having traveled recently, I got the very tragic news that Mr. Hanley apparently was struck by a boat while he was out diving, and as a consequence, he would have lost his life. This is the second incident in the last 5 or 6 years where we have had a boat strike a swimmer in the ocean, and that swimmer would have passed. And so we've had 2 fatalities in the last several years from boating accidents. I want to, of course, extend condolences to the family of Mr. Hanley, but I also want to take this opportunity to appeal to our boat operators that they absolutely have to exercise all necessary care. We recognize that the water taxi business is growing, and that many of our people are using the water taxis now to go back and forth during the daytime and indeed at nights. But I am encouraging the water taxi operators, the captains of these boats, the owners, that they train and retrain and continue to insist that safety at sea is absolutely critical. These accidents, having had 2 in the past several years, are too many. I also, of course, in fairness, want to also urge those who are out in the ocean swimming, diving, or find themselves in the water, that they too must exercise some care and attention. I have had reports of recklessness on all sides, and so I am hopeful that our people can conduct themselves sensibly. And if we know that this is the usual lanes through which our water taxis are traversing, then if we must go into those lanes to dive, then we should have some kind of marker or something to indicate that we're there. I want to comment on a particular matter because I recall being on a water taxi one day, and the boat was stopped suddenly by the captain. And I and the others on the boat were alarmed as to what. And there in the water was a diver. Luckily, the captain saw the diver and so stopped. And I thought it was odd because the boat on which that diver, or from which that diver had disembarked, was some considerable distance away. And then I learned that apparently sometimes when the guys go out to dive, they might be on a boat, but as they go overboard into the water, the boat drifts off or the currents take them. So that if you're looking to where the boat is as an indication of where the divers might be, that is not necessarily accurate. The divers might be some considerable distance away from the boat. And this is what happened in this scenario. I can say to the public that I have asked NASPA, Nevis and Seaports Authority, to quickly convene with the Maritime Affairs Division to determine what we can do to ensure that there are no further occurrences of these instances. While I'm on this topic, let me also, because it is ironic that I believe it was a day after this tragedy, that I was sent a video where there was a boat speeding along the coast, parallel to the coast, and almost into shore in the Paradise Beach area. The owners of Paradise Beach and others have said that they complain bitterly all the time to say to the jet ski operators, to say to the speedboat operators, do not come into shore or close to shore. That's where people are swimming. That's where you're most likely to have people swimming. Stay out to sea with your motorized vessels. And still, they are almost on the shore as they speed along parallel to the shore. I have seen fishermen, local fishermen doing it. I have seen jet ski operators doing it. We have seen the pleasure boats and the pleasure crafts doing it, and I don't understand why. Let us be sensible. That's the word I can come up with in terms of how we conduct ourselves. We are endangering people. If you happen to be on the beach and you're taking a swim, you ought not to be at risk of being struck by a jet ski or by a boat or pleasure, which happens to be right into shore. I don't know, why are they right into shore? Are they looking fans on the beach? They want people on the beach to see them that they're in a boat? Boats are made to be at sea. Well, stay out to sea. And so on all sides of this, we have had difficulty. And I'm using this rostrum because here we have had 2 fatalities in the last several years. I don't want anyone else to get hurt. I don't want anyone else to die. And I feel that if we only conduct ourselves sensibly, if you're going out to dive, you must have some kind of marker to demonstrate and allow those who are on the surface to know that somebody's under the surface. If you are a fisherman, you have no need, whether you to have your catch or wherever you're going, to be speeding along parallel to the coast, right inside where swimmers are likely to be. We have had as a government to invest large sums of money to put up swim zones. We now need to go and revisit that again, to try and put up additional swim zones around the island. But things are, in my view, common sense and respect for each other. Being sensible in our dealings could resolve. So I use this rostrum, as I tend to at sometimes, to just appeal to our people to do what is right, and to extend again condolences to Mr. Ishmael Hanley's family. Now, I'm sure that members of the press will be aware that I traveled to the United States last week, and I traveled specifically to receive an award from the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies. In collaboration with the University of the West Indies, I received the award for the Vice Chancellor's Award for International Leadership and Government. And I was quite pleased to receive that award, not just because I received the award, but for me what it represented for the island of Nevis. That I was the first Nevisian, but more than that, Nevis was showcased in a very significant way. The award was a gala affair. The Vice Chancellor, Sir Hilary Beckles, was there, as well as several previous chancellors of the university were there. They awarded some very distinguished individuals at that event, including somebody who we all would have heard of, Buster Rhymes, because the purpose of the American Foundation for UWI is really to recognize not only Caribbean nationals, but those of Caribbean heritage. And so people like Oprah Winfrey and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all of these have in the past also received awards from them. But the award that I received was the Vice Chancellor's Award, and I really wanted to say that for me it was a good occasion for the island of Nevis. We were on the stage in New York in a very significant way, and I believe that augurs well for others out there who sometimes feel restricted or constrained by the size of our island. And I continue to say that we are never constrained by the size of our island. or by the circumstances into which we were born. Our only constraint is the ambit of our ambitions. And I really would like our people to take that to heart and to continue to do the very best that they can do in whatever field of endeavor they find themselves. Excellence is excellence, no matter where you're from. And so I continue to encourage our people to do the very best that they can. And for me, this type of recognition is demonstrative of what can come from the little island of Nevis. The fact that so many of us are products of this little island, products of our school system, and we can go out and we can compete and we can perform and we can stand shoulder to shoulder with best in class anywhere in the world. And so for me, that is a message of this. I want to thank again the American Foundation for UE and to commend them for the excellent work that they have been doing over the years. You know, there was a lot of noise as usual being made, but this foundation, this is the 26th year that they've had this gala. So it's not new. People like Mia Motley, Owen Arthur, Ralph Gonzalez, they've all been recipients of awards from American Foundation for UE. But most importantly, they raise millions of dollars to assist students in accessing tertiary education. And I was so pleased that one of the students who was in attendance was Stephen Mead. And Stephen Mead is my own constituent. He would have come with his family from Montserrat at a very young age. And I was very, very proud to see him on stage delivering a speech and thanking his sponsors at the American Foundation for UE and how they were able to assist him in getting his degree. I believe he said he was in accounting at the University of West Indies, St. Augustine. So to see him there on that stage, he said he was born in Montserrat, but I see him as a New Vision because he's been here for such a long time. But certainly to see him on that stage was for me very heartwarming. And there were several other youngsters from other parts of the Caribbean. But for me, seeing Stephen there was important, and I congratulate him as well. I also, while I was in the United States, took the opportunity to engage in some promotional efforts for tourism here on Nevis and for film here on Nevis. I have been introduced, and I would want to publicly thank her, a woman called Candy Carter. Candy Carter is a two-time Emmy Award winner in the United States. She's African American. She was with the Oprah Winfrey Show for over 15 years, and she was also the producer of the show called The View, which some of you here may view from time to time. And as a consequence of her association with these shows, she was not only able to arrange a sit-down, if you will, a reception of some kind for my wife and I, where we were allowed to meet and mingle with many significant players in the film industry, particularly daytime television. People like Mona Scott Young, for example, who's the producer of something called Love and Hip Hop. She was there, and others were there. There was a chap there, his name eludes me at the moment, but he does the 30-30 on the ESPN, and again, African American. And what I found was interesting is that the whole thing was themed around Nevis. So there was a St. Nevis flag outside. The cocktails were all about Pinner's Beach, rum punch, and things of that nature. Candy and her family had come to Nevis and had been entertained by us, and they loved it. And so what we're now trying to do is, while the conversation started out about film, we're also now talking as well about tourism and how we can do more to invite and get access to the affluent African American community. There are many in the tri-state area that we traditionally look to for tourists, but let's face it, over the years we have not attracted many African Americans. We think the time is now. And so we will be doing quite a few events around the African American community and in the film community in particular. I believe we have agreed to do an event where we will be sponsoring the bar at a particular event which is likely to attract about 200 affluent African Americans in the film community. And so we're reaching out to that demographic in a significant way. That led to other introductions and discussions which we are hopeful will bear some fruit for tourism here on the island and for film as well. As a consequence of Ms. Carter's relationship with The View, my wife and I were afforded the real distinct opportunity and honor to go and and be there as special guests, not to be interviewed, let me make that clear, but to be in the audience. But the good thing about it was that during intermission, we were allowed to stand and to talk about Nevis and to say all that Nevis has to offer. And I think that that was very well received. So we're trying to use all the various levers that we can to keep Nevis out there and to keep Nevis promoted. Let me, on the issue of travel, also take the opportunity to point out that I am traveling again as Premier of Nevis this week. Later this week, I travel to Miami, where I will be a speaker at the CREF conference. This is a conference talking about renewable energy in the region. I'm advised that the federal ministers, some federal ministers, will also be in attendance. But I will be on a panel that will be discussing what we are doing in terms of renewable energy and where we see the future of this critical development lies going forward. So I will be again traveling for a few days to deal with that and to deal with the issues surrounding renewable energy and our geothermal energy in particular. On that score, I was delighted to meet with the governor, not the governor, the president, forgive me, of the Caribbean Development Bank. Mr. Leon was here just 2 days ago, and we were able to engage for quite some time on this and other issues. But I want to thank the president of the CDB very much and his team for their continued partnership in relation to geothermal. I do know, and because I anticipate the question will come, that we have closed the bidding process now on the drilling. I think that process closed on the 12th of April. And the last I heard was that the bids were being evaluated. And so I will hope to have some information for you, the public, shortly on where we are in relation to the drilling phase, and that is the production well drilling phase on that geothermal project. Let me also report, as you may already have heard, that the election petition appeal that was filed by Ms. J.D. Keynes against Mr. Spencer Brand, that has again been struck out by the court. In fact, it was struck out by the Court of Appeal as a nullity, and Ms. Keynes has again been penalized in costs and asked to pay the costs of that journey of I don't know what to call it. It's an odd journey, let me put it that way, that she and her team continue to embark upon. The good thing is that Dr. Patricia Bartlett, who equally would have taken a petition against me, that she was chastised by the court, petition thrown out, and I believe that she has learned and therefore has decided that she will not waste further money. Ms. Keynes seems to have a limitless supply of cash, so she keeps going. Well, she has gone to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal has said to her what we all knew to be the case, that there is no appeal from an interlocutory matter in an election petition. And so the strikeout that happened by the learned judge, that was it. And I'm not sure who's advising her, why they're advising her, they are advising her, whether she's advising herself. But we all knew that there is no appeal. The law is very clear that there is no appeal. Yet she filed an appeal, and so the court has now struck that out as a nullity. But importantly, awarded further costs to Mr. Spencer Brand. So we'll wait to see what those numbers look like. Let me now go on quickly then to report on some ministries. From the Ministry of Education, we want to thank all of those who came out and made the Gulf Insurance, Bank of Nevis International, Nevis Primary Schools Championship such a success. It was the first year that we had two significant sponsors in Gulf Insurance and the Bank of Nevis International, and we are very grateful to them both. It was also the first year that the event employed the gold medal count system, and the Charleston Primary School emerged the winners. We say congratulations to Charleston yet again. Congratulations as well to St. Thomas's Primary that placed second, Joyston Library that placed Primary that placed Joyston Library Primary School that placed third, and the St. James Primary, the smallest school on the island, captured fourth. And I believe that they deserve every commendation. And so we want to thank all who came out, the athletes, all the legion of staff that make this meet possible. I believe that the reports were good, And I would apologize for the rain. I know some people got some wet. And, you know, being Nevis, people started to complain that they got wet. And lo and behold, Carifta happened in the Bahamas. And guess what? There was rain and people got wet in the Bahamas too. And so, you know, sometimes you wonder if rain only comes in Nevis. I don't know. But the bottom line is that the event went well, and I congratulate the winners, Charleston Primary School. Some good news, I think, in that the Ministry of Education hosted the second sitting of the test of Chinese as a foreign language on April 21st. 27 candidates set the exam. This sitting was not paper-based, but was administered via computer. This marks the first time, members of the press, members of the public, this marks the first time that any group in the Caribbean has taken the TOCFL CAT, that is, the Test of Chinese as a Foreign Language, CAT Computerized Adaptive Test. This is the first time any group in the Caribbean has done that formal test. It represents a significant step forward. We want to thank Ms. Chen Chi, Mandarin teacher, and the Republic of China, Taiwan, for their continued support in moving this initiative forward. We look forward, of course, to the results, but we feel that for 27 people here to have been the first group to have done this test in the region is very significant. I continue to say from this and every rostrum that I get a chance that as a government, we have really demonstrated initiative and leadership. When we introduced this idea of teaching Mandarin in our schools here, I know, because it's the way things are, that some would have scoffed at the idea. But here we are. And I'm going to go a step further and encourage all who have an interest in speaking Mandarin as a second language that they step forward. And also I'll go further and encourage our counterparts in St. Kitts to introduce this project over there as well. St. Kitts and Nevis have the capacity, in my view, to create students who are better fit for purpose when they're multilingual. And Mandarin is one of the world's most dominant languages today. So it only makes good sense, in my view, for us to seize this opportunity, using our long-standing relationship with our friends from Taiwan. And so again, I thank Ms. Chen Chi and the government and people of the Republic of China, Taiwan, for allowing us the opportunity to have this significant milestone in the island of Nevis. Thanking again the Republic of China, Taiwan for their contribution to STEM Week 2023. We will host our inaugural STEM Week from May 22nd to 26, 2023. And we'll launch it on May 22nd with short presentations at schools. We have a Math Infusion Day, and we see an interscholastic STEM challenge. The week will culminate with a STEM Expo at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. Our dear friends from Taiwan contributed $15,000 for this initiative, and we're truly, truly grateful to them, and we will continue in that vein to engage with STEM. What does STEM mean again? Science, technology, engineering, and math. I hope I have it right. So we recognize we had a shortage in these areas in the past, and so we are hopeful that going forward with these types of initiatives, we can do much better. Parents of children who are eligible to enter our public preschools, primary schools, and secondary schools are being asked to note that application forms are currently available at the various schools on the island. Please contact your intended school for further guidance and instructions. Non-nationals, this is important. Non-nationals, you should register at the Ministry of Education, Marion Heights. It is also important, and I want to make it pellucid, that if you are non-national and you have children who are to be entering our school system, you have to ensure that you are lawfully on this island and in this country. You have to ensure that your papers are in order. If you're on a work permit, that your work permit is in order. If you're on a residency, that your residency is in order. Otherwise, you will not be able to register your children to go to school. So I want to make that clear. I have always said that this is a government that values the contribution of non-nationals. We are a government that want non-nationals to be here and want them to be treated fairly and with respect, just as we demand that Nivisians and Kittitians in other lands are treated fairly and with respect. But we also insist that they must follow the law and abide by the rules and regulations of this, their adopted country. Too many continue to flout the law, not get their work permit, not get their residency, and then after 2, 3, 4 years of working illegally, they start to complain that they can't get this done and they can't get that done. Follow the law. P.S. Daniel is here, and he has a standing mandate, if you will, to work with people. But we need the non-national community also to understand that we are a nation of laws. And so if your children need to get into school, we welcome them. But make sure that you as their parents, that you are legally in the country. That's important, and I want to make that very clear. We are having an interscholastic spelling bee competition between the secondary schools. That will be on May 12th. And then an inter-primary spelling bee will be on May 13th. Admission is free to the public, and I'm told that refreshments will be on sale. Prospective teachers course. For youngsters out there who are interested in teaching, you want to be a teacher? Well, the prospective teachers course will be available at the Department of Education from Tuesday, May 2nd. Applicants should have a minimum of 5 CXC, CSEC subject passes in the following areas: English A, mathematics, social science, one science, and any other subject. The deadline for application is May 19th, 2023 at 12 noon. For more information, please contact the Department of Education, 469-5521, extension 5080 or 5084. The Gingerland Secondary School, they're having their 50th anniversary pageant, and that happens on Saturday, 29th April at the David Freeman Center of Excellence, starting at 7 p.m. We're asking that you go out and you support. The contestants are Lakeisha Clark, Mariah Daniel, Jedinique Griffin, Nikelsia Kelly, and Brianna Stewart. We wish them all the very best. Let me also congratulate our Carifta team that went to the Bahamas and performed creditably. The team, I'm told, placed 4th overall. They earned themselves on the medal count. I see here 4 gold medals, 1 silver, and 2 bronze medals. I hope that information is accurate. But they were 4th overall at the games, and I think for the smallest nation in the Caribbean to perform at that level should be commended. Special commendation must be made to our local athletes who made the Carifta team. And by local, I mean Division: Shamari Newton, Alexander Keynes, Leon Thompson Jr., Kenron Freeman, Tiana Liebert, and Kalia Jones. On Friday, that's this coming Friday, 6 of our athletes, past Friday, forgive me, 6 of our athletes traveled to Venezuela to participate in their Alba Games as part of the Singis Nevis team. The athletes who were selected for that team to compete in athletic events were Shamari Newton, Datriel Stanley, Mario Palmer, and Khalil Roberts. And Stevenson Providence and Jamal Ford were also selected to participate in the games in the area of basketball. And so we wish all the teams well at the Alba Games. I have mentioned already, but I think it's worth mentioning again, that our 5 under-15 Leeward Islander cricketers made the cricket team. Let me mention them again: Amory Jones, Rondre Daniel, Jadani Herbert, Light Brown, and Krishna Gerhardi. They did incredibly well, and we congratulate them. Now to women's cricket. The Nevis women's cricket team is currently engaged. The Leeward Islands Cricket Board one-day tournament being held in St. Kitts and Nevis. Nevis women won their game against St. Kitts, which gives them a chance to win the one-day tournament. That match was played at the VOJN grounds on Friday, April 21st. Nevis plays Antigua today to decide the championship. That match, I'm told, would have started at the ETW Park at 10 a.m. We wish them all the very best, as, of course, they vie for the championship in that game today. An important reminder from the Department of Marine Resources, we're reminding all owners of fishing vessels who have not yet licensed their vessels for 2023 to do so with immediate effect. That can be done at the Bay Road Bar Stair and at Prospect Estate, Nevis, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Let me switch to the important Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs. The Ministry of Health, Gender Affairs and Social Empowerment, in collaboration with the Department of Marine Resources and the Ministry of Agriculture, has invited interested persons in registering for what? A fish pot making workshop. That's slated for Saturday, 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th of May. So all Saturdays, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Jessup's playing field. For more information, please contact the Department of Marine Resources or the Gender Affairs Department. Space is limited, so we're urging individuals who want to learn how to make fish pots that they turn out in their numbers for that event. The Alexandra Hospital on April 6th was presented with several pallets of equipment and medical supplies from our dear friends at the Division Association of Washington, D.C., NEVDC. The donation consisted of hospital beds, wheelchairs, IV poles, walkers, and a triangular lift. Special thanks to Lofton Sargent and his team, who secured the items and coordinated the shipment to Nevis, and to Mr. Levi Maynard, who was on hand to make the official presentation to officials of the ministry and hospital. We would like to express our profound gratitude to Nevisians in the diaspora who continue to have Nevis at heart, and to specifically again thank NEVDC, Nevisian Association of Washington, D.C., and their membership for this tremendous gift to the people of Nevis. SKN Moves Nevis chapter, in collaboration with Nevis Aquatic and Sailing Center, hosted their second edition of the Aqua Funathlon on Saturday, April 15th. 7 teams registered and competed in 3 disciplines: swimming, kayaking, and beach relay. At the end, Team Tide Riders, Skylar Connor and Austin Williams, received gold. Team Urchin, Jazelle Connor and Justin Williams, received silver. And Team Torpedo, Pratikesh Sharma and Ori Pemberton, received bronze. We congratulate all of these young people, the volunteers, coaches, and of course the parents. The Health Promotion Unit, in collaboration with TDC Group of Companies, which is celebrating 50 years of service, and in collaboration further with the Taiwan ICDF, hosted the first TDC Health Fair. The fair offered an opportunity for healthcare and community organizations active in Nevis and the Federation to share information on the services that they offer. Attendees also had the opportunity to receive free health and dental screening as well as rapid HIV tests. The hospital laboratory also had the opportunity to launch its blood donor volunteer drive. The numbers are encouraging because 63 persons screened for HIV, dental 24, kidney function via Renal Society 80, BMI, BP, and blood sugar via ICDF 150, and importantly, 42 persons registered as blood donors. The Department of Community Development, in collaboration with the Royal St. Kitts and Nevis Police Force, the Community Advancement Program, the aim of the program was to teach values and life skills to youth in the various communities through games, lectures, and other enriching activities. These activities, we hope, will help to address antisocial behavior. A total of 12 communities and church youth groups were represented. We want to thank the rank and file of the St. Kitts and Nevis Police Force for partnering with the Community Development Department and for working with our youth, helping to make our community better and safer places to live. And that, of course, event happened on the 21st of April. Some further good news. As we continue to build out our health infrastructure, the ministry and Alexandra Hospital welcomed 2 new specialists on staff. Dr. Made Fuentes as an OB-GYN. She was recruited through the Cuban Brigade. And Dr. Lisette Gonzalez as an anesthesiologist, also Cuban, but who was recruited outside of the brigade. Both specialists will add to the services already being offered at the hospital. I also have the pleasure to announce that the mammogram machine that we acquired at a significant cost, that mammogram machine is now in use. It has not yet been officially commissioned. We expect that will be done by the middle of May. but I'm advised that it's already been put in use, and we expect that some final testing, if you will be done, and that the individuals who will be doing that will be here in the early part of May. So we expect full-fledged usage of that mammogram machine as of the middle of May to the general public. Let me end my introductory remarks by just updating on what we're doing in public works. Work continues at the Bat Village Main Road. Bat Village, I know that you have been complaining and saying you need this work done, and I agree. And the public works have said to me that they are almost there. The utility relocation, Nevlec flow, Digicel, those have now been completed along the corridor. Concrete curbs and all that have been put in, and we expect that we will have the road paved by next week. That is the anticipation, and that's what I'm being advised. The replacement parts for the asphalt plant are here, as I reported before. We have not yet installed them because we have been inundated with the demands on the plant for purposes of Bat Village Road completion and also for the Island Main Road. And we anticipate that what we'll do is once those paving jobs are finished, we'll take the plant out of commission and do the necessary repairs. Work on the Butlers Road continues at the junction by the Butlers Health Center, and work on the Upper Village Road linking Siston Road and Range will commence shortly. On the Island Main Road, if you haven't driven it lately, you should, because it is now 85% complete. We have done now all the paving from Cliff Dwellers all the way over to the entrance to Mount Nevis Hotel, or maybe I should say the entrance to get to Cottle Church. And then where we're picked up again in Newcastle, that area, most of that has already been paved. We hope that that will be completed very shortly. After that, we just have to do the road markings and the signage, etc. And then I'm told that the next project that we'll endeavor to undertake would be this bypass road, which is badly in need of resurfacing after, almost 20 years, I think. And so we hope to take to that very shortly, but we'll have more information on that in short order. I'm advised that I should say, and I agree that I should say, that we are very grateful to the property owners in the areas where we're doing roads, because for the most part we've had to trespass on people's boundary lines, and they have been most generous. And so we are here to remind them that we will restore their property boundaries at no cost to them, and we ask them to continue to be patient with us. The Nevis Water Department has lost one of its pumps in the padlock area. With the ongoing water ration on the island, the loss further compounds the problems of water distribution. We're therefore asking the public, as I do from time to time, to be sensible with the use of water, to be responsible with the use of water, and to encourage one and all to practice water conservation as we work through these trying and difficult times. I will leave it there and invite any questions that you may have, but before I end, let me encourage the people of Nevis who are interested in finding work that the Radius call center facility will be having a job fair tomorrow, Wednesday, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the call center location in Brown Hill. They have indicated that they intend to employ some 50 persons initially, and thereafter to employ others as they build out to ultimately, they say, about 325 persons. It is a significant opportunity for us to deal with pockets of unemployment that we have on the island, and so I am inviting our people to take advantage. Please do not give me the usual refrain, I didn't know, or I didn't hear about it, because we have been talking about it for some time. I am also going to say something, and I hope I'm not quoting controversy when I say so. But I am hearing and being advised that the vast majority of applicants for these jobs thus far, because you can apply online in advance of the job fair, or you can take your resume, your CV, there, and then be interviewed at the job fair. But I'm told the vast majority of applicants at this time are persons from Haiti, from Dominica, from Jamaica, from Guyana, and that it seems that Nevisians and Kittitians have not been applying in equal numbers. So I'm again urging people to apply. Doesn't really matter to me where you're from, but to apply. And I keep saying that our people continue to sit back, relax, sit on the side, and they watch the island and the country going by. People don't like when I say so, but I like to say so because they're the same people who turn around and complain and say, nothing now go on for me. But when you bring opportunity, you have to hold their hand and tell them, come, 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 please. I'm urging our people to get up, take advantage of the opportunities that are on the island for them. It cannot be that we continue to say work is hard to find and work is not available when we have an opportunity such as this. And the persons are saying to us that the uptake, particularly from Nevisians and Kittitians, has not been as robust as we would like. So I encourage our people, please. The flyers are all over social media. I believe NTV would have done something. I hope I'm correct in that. But really, the information has been disseminated widely. I'm using this platform again to say that a job fair is happening tomorrow, Wednesday, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I'm urging everyone to go out and be a part of that. And if you're not working, find something to do. If you're working somewhere part-time and you're looking for something full-time, this might be the answer for you. They're also looking for management positions. So it's not just line staff. There's a host of opportunities, and I'm urging our people to go and take advantage. Radius has a good pedigree and good track record. They employ well over 1,000 people in Jamaica. They have contact facilities in Panama, I'm told, also in places like the Philippines. And we are happy to be a part of their growth and development that they've chosen Nevis, and will proceed accordingly. So I'll leave it there with that word of encouragement. And for those who are seeking work, sometimes the press has tackled me, quite rightly, about jobs and the availability of jobs. Well, I'm here today to say that some jobs are here. And for all of those who used to chastise us and say that investors are out to sea, it looks like they're coming ashore now. So let us take advantage of what is going on the island of Nevis. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mr. Premier.
Good morning.
Good morning to members of the press and the public at large. During the deliverance of the throne speech by the Deputy Governor General, it was mentioned that the government intends to separate the Nevis Sixth Form College from the Charleston Secondary School. Is that still a priority of the government, and when can the public expect to see the commencement of this project? Question 2, as it relates to the CBI Regulation Committee expected to include individuals from both St. Kitts and Nevis, can an update be given on the status of the committee and when they should begin executing their duties? Question 3, in light of what you mentioned this morning, Mr. Premier, concerning the boat tragedy and asking NASPA for assistance in terms of the incident to not happen again. Are there any plans to table any legislation in the Nevis Island Assembly? And my final question for now, are there any updates on the plans to improve the Vance Amri International Airport as it relates to boosting traffic there? I know earlier on, or in a previous press conference, you mentioned private jets. Can we get an update, please? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your questions. You asked about the sworn speech. Just to point out that the sworn speech would ordinarily set out what a new government proposes to do over the course of its term, which is 5 years. So the issue of the separation of the sixth form from CSS is still very much a live issue for us. It is, however, not part of what we're seeking to do this year, being the first of those 5 years. So we anticipate that during the 5-year term, we'll work on that, but that is not a priority for 2023. We have other matters that we're working on, and some of which you've asked about and that I'll get to. The CBI Regulation Committee, I confess I do not have an update. I am not sure where that committee is. That is something that is being done in St. Kitts at the federal level, but I will try and get some information and come back to you on that. The boat tragedy I've spoken to, and you asked if there is a plan for legislation. I do not know whether legislation is the answer. We will take advice, of course, to hear what Maritime has to say and what NASPA has to say. What I have done, however, during the course of this press conference is to appeal to our people to act responsibly. The boaters, the fishermen, swimmers, divers, everybody who's out there on the ocean would have to act responsibly. And that is what we are asking. The government will do its part. We're looking now at reinstituting some swim zones, which might have been lost through currents or bad weather. But we also need people to be responsible, and for boaters to stay away from the inshore areas, and for swimmers to not go out, way out to sea in the parts that are well traveled by these water taxis going back and forth. And for those who are diving for a living, which we know is an important livelihood for many, that they have the necessary flags. I'm told you could have flags above the water to demonstrate that there are people beneath the water. So that's important for us. The Van Samer International Airport, we continue to work on that. I've not said anything about it today because I did not have any substantive updates to give. What we're doing at this point is we are having a series of negotiations with landowners in the area about acquiring lands and trying to settle in terms of what prices they will be asking, etc. So that process is ongoing. As I've said before, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers is leading the government effort on that particular process. I know a number of meetings have occurred. I confess I have not had an update since I returned. I only got back to the Federation 2 days ago. But I do know that at this stage we are negotiating with landowners to ensure that we can get the requisite land for purposes of our project. The project as conceived, and as I pointed out, and as you have said, is really a project where we'll see more private jets and what we call the smaller regional carriers, the regional jets, the kind that go into Anguilla currently or going to Dominica currently from Miami direct. That's what we are trying to cater to, rather than the wide-bodied British Airways and those, because we feel that with an airport next door in St. Kitts and one next door in St. Martin and another one next door in Antigua, that really we do not need to spend the money to develop an international airport that could attract the wide-body jets from all around the world. To put it bluntly, I don't even know that that location could accommodate that kind of facility, because one of the things we would have to do is completely remove Hurricane Hill, if that were to be the case, in order to get us the 7,500 feet thereabouts that we would need for that type of facility. So we have limited our ambitions in terms of the current plan to say, rather than going in that direction, let us develop a private jet facility which can accommodate the regional traffic and the flights from Miami that are the regional jets. So that is the plan at this point. And we intend to have some public consultations. We're just not there yet. And so that is where we are. Any other questions for me?
Good morning, Mr. Premier.
Good morning.
Elke Hewlett, Department of Information. I just have some very brief questions. In terms of job creation, it's not just a call center that I would have seen lately in terms of advertising for jobs. I see restaurants, I see many different establishments are expanding and looking for employees. So what does that say about what is going on in the Nevis economy? Also, we heard recently that the St. Kitts Music Festival will be 420 friendly. It's caused quite a stir, and rightfully so, I would think. What does that mean for events happening in Nevis? We have a few, I think, coming up on the holiday weekend. Will they be permitted, or will they be 420 friendly as well? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hewlett. I happened to be abroad when this 420 friendly language somehow crept into the public discourse in the country. And I frankly don't know what it means. I don't know what 420 friendly means. My understanding is that 420, the 20th of April, is a day that we celebrate marijuana, cannabis, or the smoking of cannabis. That's my understanding. And so some comments which appear to have been attributed to the Minister of Tourism in St. Kitts is that the music festival will be 420 friendly. I think that those comments were interpreted to mean that people would be allowed to smoke and enjoy their marijuana at the music festival. What I would say in response to that, if indeed that interpretation is correct of what the minister said, is that St. Kitts and Nevis is still a nation governed by law. And the island of Nevis is still an island that is governed by law. And so I do not know that you can do more than what the law allows. And anything that's friendly would have to be friendly within the confines of the law. And so I would urge those in Nevis who use marijuana not to get too carried away with this language of 420 friendly, but to remember that the law says what it says. And as far as I understand it, the law still prohibits the use of marijuana in public spaces. The law as we currently have it framed allows you to use marijuana in private spaces. That is in the privacy of your home, in a religious setting as the case may be. But the practice that has developed of some of these youngsters going into Charlestown and rolling their blunt, that is still unlawful. And so the old people have a saying, they say, well, don't let people take you out of bread and can't give you a biscuit. Don't allow yourself to get too friendly and end up at 1840, because the law is very clear as to what is allowed and what is not allowed. Now, we could have a different debate about whether the law goes far enough, but that will be for discussion of another time. So I again do not know what the minister meant when she said music festival be 420 friendly, but I'm just reminding revelers here on the island of Nevis and in our beautiful sister St. Kitts as well, that we are governed by law. And the law, as I understand it, prescribes and proscribes what is possible and what is not in relation to marijuana and marijuana use. And so I want people to be very clear on that. In relation to job creation, Ms. Hewlett, I am happy you raised the question, because I think the island of Nevis has been doing incredibly well in terms of our recovery and on the issue of job creation. We have a saying here in Nevis, a one fill basket. And sometimes people say, oh, you haven't brought anything that's going to employ 400 or 500 people. And while that is true, you have enough small businesses and you have enough businesses opening, you absorb 400 or 500 people similarly, although not all in one place. Some may well argue that that might be better, because you then spread the employment across a large cross-section of persons. We have the call center. Like you say, we have the restaurant trade, we have the hotel trade, we have so many business sectors that are seeking employees. And so we encourage people to pay attention. When, in fact, I put something on social media recently to try and generate some discussion. And I say, are you having difficulty finding a job? And 90% of the responses said yes, that they're having difficulty finding a job. And I found that interesting, because there's so many people on the island who have 3 and 4 jobs. So there's a sort of disconnect, I think, happening, where you're having a situation where some of our people are saying 2 and 3 years they can't find a job, and then other people are saying they have 2 and 3 jobs. And so it means to me that we have to do more to connect persons to the options and the possibilities that exist. But we also have to encourage our people to take advantage of the opportunities. I go back to what I said earlier about the radius and the call center. I would have thought that if people say that they're out there and they're not finding work, that they would be flooded. They would be telling me they can't keep up with the number of applications. So I encourage our people. We cannot sit back, don't try, don't make the effort. One young person said to me, I said, well, I'm told that there's jobs available. Oh, them don't decide who they're going to hire, so me not apply. And I remember there was a saying that has guided me, that if you don't ask, you've already told yourself no. Let's face it. If you don't ask the question, then the answer is already no. But if you ask the question, you stand a chance that the answer might be favorable. So some of our people seem to be taking the view that they're not going to ask at all. Others are taking the view that they will only work for government. So, if there's no job available in government, they say, nothing happening on the island. And how much time they apply to government and not get through. And how long government has their CV. And they have not been able to find a job. As if only government is an employer on the island. If I had my way, government would be the smallest employer on the island. If I had my way. Because the private sector must be the engine of growth for jobs and for economic activity in the community, not government. So our people need to reorient that thinking, where government job is what I want, and if I don't get a government job, then I don't want any other job. And I tried my best, because I do that sometimes, because I think you get some unvarnished views on social media. So I try my best to find out why government jobs are so popular. We all know government jobs don't pay a lot. So why are they so popular? And somebody said because people feel that they can be in government, they do as they like, when they like, how they like. Nobody could tell them nothing, and once you get in, you can't get out. So I'm suggesting if that is your attitude, then you would need to readjust. They feel that they can't go to Four Seasons and go elsewhere in the private sector because there they can't do as they like. They can't call in sick when they like. They can't miss work and be late for work and take long lunch and leave early. They actually have to work. And if we retreat from that for a moment, we ask the question, when did our people get to be so? Because I assure you, when Nevis people leave Nevis and go to America, if the jobs start 2 o'clock in the morning and they have to take 3 or 4 trains to get there in the dead of winter, they make it. And they make it on time. In Nevis, little rain fall, and you say, me cold, can't go work today. I'm saying these things not to create a joke about them. I'm saying them because if we are going to get serious about becoming a competitor in today's world and raising our standards, it means that our people have to see themselves in a particular way. This thing of I vote for government, so when you get in, me and my 6 children, all of them must work in government because we vote for you. We need to get past that and start to look at what opportunities there are in the local economy, including what opportunities there are for us to start our own business and create something rather than a culture of constantly looking for a job. How about you create a business where you now start in time to hire people? Because we know that's the only way, ultimately, that you're going to create wealth, is if you have your own revenue stream. It can't be just you're working for somebody. And so we need our young people especially to start to think like that and to move away from this I could only work for government mentality. And if I can't get a job in government, it means nothing happening. When other people coming in here. Again, I hope I'm not controversial, but I spoke to a young lady the other day. And the young lady could barely speak English. She's from the Dominican Republic. Right? She and I speak very little Spanish. She spoke very little English. So we use some sign language, we use some English language, we use some Spanish language to try and communicate. It's 3 jobs the lady have. 3, uno, dos, tres. So I said, well, how you can't talk English and get 3 jobs in Nevis? Think about it. 3 jobs, 3 different establishments, and does not speak English. And we have people born and bred here who telling you, them can't find something to do. We need to get out. And I'm not trying to say, okay, it's not difficult. But some people, for example, they send a letter to apply. 6 months later, they get a response. They start to cuss. I asked them, did you follow up? Did you follow up? Did you call to say, did you receive my letter? Can I come and have an interview? So. Sometimes people may not respond to you, and the mere fact that you don't follow up, you know what the people say, well, they weren't serious to start with. Not serious to start with. So we need to look at ourselves and engage and be responsible in what we do. And if jobs are available, please, I'm begging our people, go out and apply. Make yourself available. Put yourself in a position to benefit. That is what we have to do. And the government can only do so much. So we brought the call center here. The call center is now hiring. Well, go there. Jobs are there. Go find one. That's what you need to do. Not call me and, oh, you could put in a good word for me and you could tell them to hire me. No, that is not the way the process works. The process works that you apply and you go to the job fair. And you put your best foot forward. If your appointment for your interview is 9:15, you don't saunter in at 9:30. You put your best foot forward. And I know our people have the ability to do it. For some reason, we decided we don't want to do it. And I'm urging our people to change that. Anything further for me?
Good morning, Premier. Good morning to those in the room. Andre Huey, SK Newsline. Just a few questions. And maybe I could start where you just left off regarding jobs. And just to get your thoughts, do you think that the political culture, as you talk about people wanting work primarily with government, do you think the political culture on both St. Kitts and Nevis may have over the years encouraged this kind of dependency on government, so to speak, where persons feel they must have a government job in order to have a job? Earlier you spoke about non-nationals having to make sure that they are properly or they're legally living in Nevis. I know some time ago the NIA would have introduced an amnesty for persons who would have needed to regularize their status. How did that process go? How are we with that process? Have majority of the persons taken advantage of that? If you have figures, that would be helpful as well. I know the last time you spoke about the hospital expansion project and you had given some figures. In terms of completion date, I don't recall if you had given a deadline or a timeline as to when the hospital that project is expected to be finished and how far are we with that. With the work that is left to be done, do you anticipate that the project will still be completed within budget or you may go over budget? And if you could also, I know you would have spoken about it as well and you'd have listed COVID-19 as one of the challenges that would have led to the delay in the project, but were there any other extenuating circumstances that could have led to the delay in the project, which has been going on for quite some time? And finally, the athletic stadium, of course, hosted the one of the major athletics championships in the country recently. I know in the past you would have indicated that there are plans to complete the stadium, as in installing grandstands, etc., Is that still on the books, and how would the government intend to fund that completion?
Okay, thank you very much. You started by talking about the political culture and whether or not that has encouraged persons to only want to work in government. I would have thought that the political culture, particularly recently, would tell people that working in government may not be so secure, because in St. Kitts we had a government in 2015, that government had collapsed 7 years later. That wasn't much job security for persons who were hired based on politics. I think that if you're pinning your sail to a political party for work, then that is probably not a sustainable approach for you and your family. I think what our people need to ensure is that they're qualified, whatever job they get, and that they settle down and they engage in that work. Now, I am a politician, so I will not stand here and tell you that people will not be employed because of politics, because that does happen. But I'm simply saying that the job security, when you tie your mask to a political party, it really depends on the fortunes of that political party. So every 5 years, your job is at risk, just like the job of the politician is at risk. And I don't know if you're raised in a family that that is the best approach for you. I can't tell people what to do. But my view would be it would be far better to go out there and get a profession or get something in the private sector or start your own business where you have far more control of what it is you are doing. That's just my sentiment. So I don't know that the political culture has contributed to it. If it has, I would ask people to disavow that and move away from that, because in my view, that is unhelpful. Amnesty, we have, Mr. Huey, granted a number of amnesties here on Nevis. I think by my tally about 4 at this point now. And the last amnesty would have ended last year. And we made it very clear that we are not inclined to go down that road again, because we have given not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 opportunities to persons. Sadly, what has happened, Mr. Huey, and this is my analysis, is that individuals, everybody out there playing smart. So people say, oh, they give an amnesty 2 years ago. I'm not going to pay nothing. Let me use proper English. I will pay nothing for work permit, residency, or whatever, because they must give an amnesty again. That is the thinking. And then it is also unfair to those who are law-abiding, because those individuals who every December they have their work permit money, their residency money put aside to make sure that they are legal in the country. Then after they would have paid, 6 months later they hear, oh, amnesty. You know, when you have amnesty, people come in all 7, 8 years. They've been living here and don't have no work permit, don't have anything. And then to compound the problem, you hear us say we gave 1, 2, 3, 4. You still have people seeing you after the 4th amnesty has expired till they didn't know. You never hear about it and this kind of thing. Right? People came all from St. Kitts, come up here, so they want amnesty. We had to tell them no. The amnesty up here is for Nevis. But it comes back to our people being responsible. And that's all we have been asking as a government. We're prepared to work with people, but we've asked our people to be responsible. And so I say that. And as I'm talking about people being responsible, you didn't ask me this, but the Ministry of Health did ask me to talk about it. And it has to do, again, going back to that question of our citizenry being asked to be responsible. We are having a real problem at the hospital where persons are not paying their hospital bills. And as we all know, the cost of healthcare in Nevis in terms of what you pay to the hospital is already nominal, heavily subsidized. It is free for many and it is almost free for the rest. And still people are not paying. I want to say that we take credit cards, we do payment plans, we do all of that. And encourage our people again to be responsible. When you go to the hospital and use the services and you don't pay, how you expect your child to get the service, or your aunt or your uncle to get the service when they need it? Your neighbor. It's already been subsidized and still people are refusing to pay. And we've done various things. So for example, for mothers going there to have babies and don't want to pay the hospital bill, we have said, okay, you can't get the birth certificate. These are little things we've been forced to introduce in order to get some accountability in the system and for people to take responsibility. Because people go up, have a baby, and just, you don't see them again until the baby 15, the child 15 and needs something. And then they start to tell you, oh, you know, I never had get the birth certificate because of this and that, and could you waive this and could you waive that? People need to be responsible. The costs are not so prohibitive that they can't be paid if people were desirous of paying them. You know, I remember a joke I was told because somebody said that if they have $100 and that's the money that they have and they have to make a choice, do they pay water, electricity, the phone or the cable at home? That they're going to pay the phone and the cable. Water, electricity, you see, is government. So the attitude is, well, them could wait. So I asked him, well, how you get the cable work without electricity? You have internet coming to your house, but you don't have no electricity to put on the television, or how you're going to charge your phone? Because he said he preferred to pay Flow and Digicel first. And if nothing left, well, the government doesn't get anything. And that tends to be the same sentiment with the hospital. People figure, well, listen, I go up here and I shouldn't have to pay. And I'm saying to them, please, please, work with us. We're not seeking to be unreasonable, but we also feel our people need to have that sense of responsibility and pride in order to do that. The hospital, in terms of a completion date, we didn't give a completion date. I did say that I expected substantial completion by the end of this year. I've said that. I confess that I did not get an update prior to coming here. I do know that we were waiting for some quantity estimates to be done for the interior. The exterior of the building is now complete. The interior is what we're now working on, and I would hope by the next press conference I'll have a full update on where we are in relation to the hospital. Will it be finished within budget? No. We expect that it will go over budget for a number of reasons. Because of the delays, yes, the time that has gone, but also because, as you know, materials and the cost of construction has gone up exponentially. So we do anticipate that it will go over budget. We're trying to, however, ensure that it doesn't go too far over the original budget. And we are working already with donors to see what we can do in terms of outfitting the hospital, the equipment, because remember, that's an additional cost to get all the necessary equipment, fixtures, furniture, etc. in. The athletic stadium, we still have plans to do that. It is not a matter that is on our radar for this fiscal year, but it is certainly within our plan for this term that we will get some additional seating over at the Mondo facility, coupled with the other amenities, bathrooms and gym and all of that. In fact, we have a plan already that I've seen. In my view, it's a little overly ambitious. I've said that to them. But we do have a plan, and we will need to find the funding. More than likely, Mr. Huey, our funding tends to come from revenue, and we tend to get funding from loans and or donor agencies. So that's what we are hopeful. But we're hopeful that with our economy growing as it is, and I believe that it is growing in a way that most of us who are paying attention can see, I think once that economy continues to grow, it augurs well for our ability to raise money through our revenue streams. Anything further for me?
Yes, and going back to the amnesty. So, considering that you've done 4 amnesties and some people did not take advantage of that, what's the next step?
Next step is they must come in and regularize themselves, pay what is owed, or they, if they're picked up by immigration, will have to deal with the consequences of that. I believe that we have done over and over and over again, granted amnesty after amnesty, preached, begged, cajoled, But if persons are here and insist that they are going to live outside the law, then they will have to deal with whatever the consequences of that might be. There's very little more that I believe any government can be asked to do in those circumstances.
Earlier, my colleague asked about the 420 friendly, but I'm asking it now in a different context, in the context of the Cannabis Act, which has been activated recently. What plans are there for Nevis in terms of developing a cannabis industry and really utilizing that opportunity to create opportunities, economic opportunities for the island?
So,
While you're on that too, a related question. The 420 friendly expression obviously now has somewhat fed into the notion by some people, and of course you've spoken to that, which is they can now freely smoke marijuana in public places. Are you concerned that there might be an apathy on the part of people towards that to the law, thinking that, okay, we can now smoke wherever, whenever, and whether or not the police will enforce the law to ensure that persons obey the law when it comes to that?
well, Mr. Here, the police have their job to do. I mean, the police, it's like asking me if people start to steal, shoplift, break into people's homes and it becomes the norm. Should the police see a man breaking into your house and just leave you alone? It's for the police to do their job. And for me, the law, as I said, as I understand it, is clear as to what is permissible and what is not. You could smoke at home, you could smoke in privacy, you can enjoy whatever enjoyment there is to be had from smoking marijuana, and the law protects that. You go out now in public and you do it, and the law says no. And let us be fair. As popular as marijuana smoking has become, not everybody does it. Not everybody cares for it. There's some people who are adversely affected by smoke. So if I pay my money to go music festival, let me pretend that I'm female for the moment. So I do my hair, I do my nails, I buy my new outfit, I put on my best. Yes, I heard the eyelashes. So all of that I put on. And I am allergic to smoke, or I just don't like smoke. And I pay my money. And I go on in to see Dexter Daps. And when Dexter Daps performing, somebody light up right next to me. Now how is that fair to me? All the new wig I just buy smell of marijuana now. I can't even go back home in the house with it. How is that fair to me? So, we have to sometimes look at these things and say, it's not just about somebody who wants to get high and want to enjoy. And in some of the activities I see look like the high better in public than it is in private. I don't understand it. Because some man only want to smoke where people could see them. Right? So you have to ask yourself the question, what about those people who don't engage in it and maybe don't like it and may have an adverse reaction to it? So when you say that music fest or any other fest going to be 420 friendly, well, are you telling those people they shouldn't come? Because some people don't like it. Some of us drink alcohol, others do not like it. They don't want it. They have an adverse reaction to it. The difference with alcohol is if I'm having a drink, my drink is only affecting me. Unless I spill it on somebody by accident. But when you're smoking and you're puffing and you're blowing out your smoke is affecting everybody around you. So part of this debate also has to be about acting sensibly and understanding that your preferences are yours, but your preferences should not impact somebody else adversely. That's why you go American thing now, all who want to smoke go outside. No smoking in buildings. Because your right to smoke should not affect your coworker who's there, who say, well, I don't want any secondhand smoke in my lungs. I don't want any adverse reaction from smoking. I am asthmatic, I am whatever. I don't want that. I don't want to go to work every day and come home smelling like a chimney when I don't smoke. And that too is their right. So, Mr. Hugh, I think as we talk about this thing, we need to balance. That's what we need. Let us always remember, all of us in society are imbued with a set of rights. But if any of us were to enjoy our rights 100%, by the very nature of your exclusive enjoyment of your rights, you will infringe on somebody else's rights. So let us take property. I have my right to property. I own this plot of land. But my neighbor has the same right as I do. So if I now start to use my land in a way to create a nuisance for my neighbor, because the same right of enjoyment that I have, my neighbor has. So I decide I'm going to let water run through, take my water, go through the neighbor land. No, the law doesn't allow that. So I say that to say that we need balance. And we cannot create a situation where those who want to smoke or prone to smoke feel like they have more rights than others who don't want it. And that is why I voted in favor. I was in Parliament. I voted in favor of the marijuana use in private. Because my view was that if you're in the privacy of your home, your yard, the Rastafarians in the privacy of their temple, whatever the case may be, then you can use it there. But when you come on the street and thing, and every time I tell this story, I remember a businesswoman who complains to me, say on Friday afternoon, she has a kite and she don't smoke. But the amount of marijuana coming through her window, because all the young men feel that they must be in town. Right? The girls must see me rolling my spliff, and everybody must see me when I take a puff. I don't know, as I said, if they hire you better when you're in town. But that is the attitude that some of them have. Right? Now, if you need to, why is it you can't smoke at home and then come to town? So, I really don't know what will happen, but I feel that we need a balance. And while the society is fast moving to a greater embrace of marijuana, which as we know had been criminalized and a lot of people had been brutalized over marijuana for a very long time, I think while we're softening the position, we also have to take into account that there's a significant section of our community that does not smoke, that doesn't even support it, that doesn't want it anywhere with them or around them. And we have to respect that as well. And people now can't feel, well, the thing free up now, so we could do what we want. Can't be that. All right, so I'll say that in relation to the Cannabis Act. In terms of Nevis and industry developing here, we've had some inquiries, Mr. Huey, but I confess we have not yet looked at any with any level of seriousness, because there was some uncertainty as to where we're going nationally. And I've always said, and the position of my government has always been, that the lead on this has to come from the Federation. It has to be a national law, and that is why we knew, for example, legally that Nevis could not legalize while St. Kitts was in a different state. It has to be a national approach, and so we're looking at that. I thought you asked something else, but I'm unsure now. That was it? Okay. All right. Any further questions to me?
Shemika Budgin once again on radio. The Ministry of Health issued a notice a few weeks ago informing the public that the Federation is experiencing the effects of gastroenteritis. Can we get an update on that? We've seen a decrease on the island. And for the upcoming VAT Reduction Day, which will be this Friday, April 28th, is there a reason why this is being done in April? That's it for me. Thanks.
Ms. Budgeon, I can't answer your last question because we were informed as the NIA that the federal government had taken a view that there would be this VAT reduction day. I don't know what the thinking behind it is. I honestly don't know. I have not had the benefit of a conversation on it to determine what the thinking is. Naturally, any opportunity for people to get a little tax off and for it to spur some spending in the community, I support. But why in April? And why, frankly, so sudden? You know, I don't know, for example, if there was ongoing dialogue between the chamber and the government. But I will point this out. We tend to expect this will happen during Christmas. So I imagine that businesses will stock up for what they expect to be a bumper sales period during Christmas. But if you just announce 2 weeks before April 28th that there's going to be a VAT reduction there on April 28th, do those businesses have the stock? Have they put the stock in place? I don't know. I don't know what the answers to those are. So that's why I say I'm not really sure what the thinking was behind this announcement. We got the announcement, and we said, well, you know, the federal government has made a determination, and so our people here in Navy should benefit as well from the VAT reduction. So I wait to see what the result of it is going to be. My preference would have been for something that was the function of more dialogue and more advanced planning. Right? I would have, for example, done this around maybe music fest or around culture around the middle of the year kind of thing. So you get something in the middle of the year, and then coming to the end of the year, you expect that something is going to happen again, and you have like 2 big periods. The other thing I'm hopeful doesn't happen is that this becomes some kind of ad hoc, you know, sometime in May, sometime in October, sometime just as cabinet might determine. I feel that if you're going to do this, you should have structured periods where the public and the private sector could know that, listen, middle of the year, end of the year, you tend to have this, because especially now with the supply chain issues, lead time on products is getting longer. So if TDCA or courts or them want to order refrigerators or stoves and they want to have those commodities available for the reduced VAT, would they have had enough notice to get those in stock? I don't know. And if not, can you now buy them and then they ship them in and you buy it now, but you don't get it until July when the stock arrives? Again, I don't know. So these are some of the issues in my view. But I did see some correspondence from the chamber which suggested that there was some level of engagement between the chamber and the federal government. But as I said, we were not engaged here at the NIA, and I can't speak further to it than that. Ministry of Health Gastro, the last report I had was that there was no escalation. That's not the question you asked me, but that's the report I had, that we had not had any huge increase. So I am hopeful that by that I can say that the situation is manageable, that we are not seeing any rapid increases in gastro. So that is where we are at this point in relation to that. I think that is as much as you asked and as much as I could answer. So, is there anything else for me?
LK Hewlett, Department of Information. Can you give any kind of update on the MGR Park expansion project? I know that the park is fast becoming like the epicenter of activity in terms of hosting events, and including fetes, meetings, everything is now shifted to the MGR. But what does it mean for the bar, the parts for entertainment, and seeing that being built out?
Thank you. The MGA Park we're quite proud of. It's named for, of course, late great Malcolm Guichard. And it has really become, as you say, the epicenter of entertainment and leisure on the island of Nevis now. Really what we had anticipated it could be, it has realized that potential and more. Through the assistance of our dear friends the Taiwanese, we're now building out some more, and that second phase, which I've described, will see the addition of bathrooms, drainage, particularly on the lower side where the restaurants are, some walkways, some parking areas, and some, what you call it now, a boardwalk that will enhance significantly the aesthetics of the area. We also hope to do some beach beautification along there, Pinnis Beach, etc. The idea is that when this is finished, it should be a one-stop, first-class venue for dining, families, leisure, relaxation. That's what we're trying to achieve on the best beach in the Federation, which is Pinnis Beach. So we are expecting that venue will become an epicenter for leisure activities. And so, Ms. Hewlett, you're right that a lot of fits are going there now. I think I see Tropics is going to be there again. They did incredibly well the last time in terms of numbers. They're going to go back, and we hope to build that out. So just so you know where the project is, we had focused on some of the drainage issues. There is to the south of that project, there is a pond, what we call a pond. And we were doing some work there in terms of ensuring that that waterway is shored up and that it has a greater capacity. Because what used to happen in the past is that it would overflow quickly and all that water would flood down to the restaurants below. So we spent a lot of time there. I'm told that that effort is now almost complete. We did that deliberately because we recognized we were in the middle of the tourist season. And so we didn't want to have construction that was either too obvious or too disruptive. Recognizing that, again, people at Sunshines and Lime and all of that, eating and whatever, we didn't want that disruption. So we're now ramping up as the season tapers off to do more work there. And I think you're going to see a lot more activity. The project was scheduled to be a 2-year project, but I've said to them that we need to do as best as we can to have that ready for at least the next season, which would be the end of this year. So we are working very hard on it. I should tell you that we also expect very shortly the opening, having had the opening of Zanzibar, a new restaurant there. We hope to have the new Turtle Time open very shortly as well. And that represents, again, more dining options, more work, more job opportunities, but also as we try to build out the infrastructure there, we want when people park at Pinneys, they have the ability for the kids to be at the park enjoying themselves, for the parents to be on the beach, for you to decide you'll have some lunch, you'll have some dinner. We want down there to be really a safe space and a very nice space for individuals to hang out and be comfortable. We feel that an important part of development is leisure, meaning that people must be able to relax and wherever you go in the world, where countries are developed countries, you see an investment in parks and places where people can, how should I say, distress and find themselves. And so we think that that park is very important for that purpose, and that is why it has become so popular, and we anticipate it will continue to grow in that regard. So we see business expansion there. We see enhancements in terms of the aesthetics there, parking, bathrooms, enhanced security. Let me add that because we're going to have CCTV coverage. We're going to have security officers on duty in addition to what we have now. So we are building out infrastructure in a way that it really will be first class. And that is what we're anticipating to do. And I thank again the Republic of China and Taiwan for assisting us in that regard. Anything further for me? Good. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. And I look forward to seeing you, God willing, in another month or so as we do these press conferences. Thank you very much, members of the press.